The darkness of space stretched forever in all directions. Among the distant stars, a human battleship moved slowly through the void. The ship's name was Indomitable, and it had been traveling alone for 3 months. Its mission was simple: explore new regions of space, map unknown systems, and report back to Earth. Captain Dae-ho Kim sat in his command chair on the bridge. He was 45 years old, with gray hair at his temples and calm eyes that had seen many years of service. Around him, his crew worked quietly at their stations. The bridge was dimly lit, with screens showing star charts and sensor data. Lieutenant Ha-Yun Park stood at the weapons console. She was young, only 28, but she was one of the best weapons officers in the fleet. Her fingers moved across the controls, running routine checks on the ship's weapons systems. Everything was normal. Everything was quiet. Down in the engine room, Engineer Bo-Ra Choi monitored the ship's reactor. The massive fusion reactor hummed steadily, providing power to all the ship's systems. Bo-Ra was 35 and had been working on starships for 12 years. She knew every pipe, every wire, every system on the Indomitable. The ship was her home. Suddenly, an alarm beeped on the bridge. Sensor Officer Tae-Yang Lee looked up from his console. His face went pale. "Captain," Tae-Yang said, his voice tight, "I'm detecting multiple contacts. They just appeared on sensors. 15 ships moving toward us at high speed." Captain Dae-ho leaned forward. 15 ships? Can you identify them? Tae-Yang's fingers flew across his console. "Negative, sir. They're not human ships. The design is completely unknown. They're alien ships, Captain." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. This was it. Humanity's first contact with an alien species. For hundreds of years, humans had wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer. "Distance?" Captain Dae-ho asked. 2 million kilometers and closing. "They'll be in weapons range in 5 minutes. Captain Dae-ho pressed a button on his chair. "All hands, this is the captain. Unknown vessels approaching. Battle stations. This is not a drill." Throughout the ship, alarms began to sound. Crew members ran to their positions. Blast doors sealed, weapon systems powered up. In the engine room, Bo-Ra diverted power to the shields and weapons. Her heart was racing, but her hands were steady. On the view screen, the alien ships became visible. They were sleek and dark, with strange curves and angles. They moved in a tight formation, like predators surrounding prey. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," Tae-Yang reported. "Put it through." A harsh, alien voice filled the bridge. The ship's computer translated the words, "Unknown vessel. You have entered Mervani space. Power down your weapons and surrender immediately. Resistance will result in your destruction." Lieutenant Ha-Un looked at the captain. "Sir, should we try to communicate? Explain that we didn't know this was their territory?" Captain Dae-ho shook his head slowly. "They didn't ask for explanations. They demanded surrender. That tells me everything I need to know about them." He stood up from his chair. "Tactical analysis, Lieutenant." "Can we fight them?" Ha-Yun checked her displays. 15 ships against 1. Their weapons appear to be plasma-based. Energy shields detected on all vessels. "Sir, the odds are not good. Should we run?" Tae-Yang asked. Captain Dae-ho walked to the view screen and stared at the alien fleet. In his mind, he calculated the options. They could try to escape, but the alien ships might be faster. They could surrender, but what would happen then? Would the aliens imprison them? Kill them? Use them as hostages? Or they could fight. 1 ship against 15. Impossible odds. But Captain Dae-ho remembered something his first commander had told him 20 years ago. The moment you act like prey, you become prey. He turned back to his crew. "We stand our ground. This is a United Nations vessel on a peaceful mission. We have done nothing wrong. If they want a fight, we'll give them one they won't forget." Ha-Yun's eyes widened. "Sir, are you sure?" 15 against 1. "I'm sure, Lieutenant. Charge all weapons. Prepare rail cannons and missile systems. Route all available power to shields and weapons." "Yes, sir." Ha-Yun's voice was stronger now. She turned to her console and began the firing sequences. Far across space on the alien flagship, Fleet Commander Veltar watched the human ship on his view screen. He was a Mervani, a species that had conquered 17 other civilizations in the past century. His body was tall and covered in gray scales. His eyes were cold and calculating. "The human ship is not responding to our demand," his communications officer reported. Veltar laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Of course not. They always resist at first. It doesn't matter. Their ship is small. Alone. They will surrender or die. Beside him, Tactical Officer Krennic studied the human vessel carefully. He was younger than Veltar and more cautious. Something about the human ship bothered him. "Commander," Krennic said slowly, "I'm detecting unusual energy readings from their vessel. Their power output is much higher than it should be for a ship of that size." Veltar waved a clawed hand dismissively. "They're probably overloading their systems in panic. It won't help them. 15 ships against 1. The mathematics are simple, but sir, enough, Krennic. I have destroyed hundreds of ships in my career. This will be no different." Veltar turned to his weapons officer. "All ships target the human vessel. Prepare to fire on my command." On the Indomitable's bridge, Tae-Yang announced, "Captain, all 15 alien ships are locking weapons on us." Captain Deho sat back down in his command chair. His face was calm, but his heart was pounding. Around him, his crew waited. They trusted him. They believed he would get them through this. He thought about Earth, 3 months away at maximum speed. He thought about the thousands of human colonies scattered across dozens of star systems. If the Indomitable ran now, these aliens would think humans were weak. They would attack human space. Millions could die. But if the Indomitable fought, if they showed these aliens that humans would not be pushed around, maybe, just maybe, they could prevent a war before it started. "Lieutenant Hawun," Captain Deho said quietly, "how long until our weapons are fully charged?" 30 seconds, sir." "Good. The moment they fire, you fire back. Don't wait for my order. Shoot everything we have." "Understood, Captain." The two fleets faced each other across the void, human and alien. 15 ships against 1. On the Mervani flagship, Veltar raised his hand. "Fire," he commanded. 15 alien ships opened fire at once. Beams of bright plasma and graviton waves streaked across space toward the Indomitable. The attack lit up the darkness like lightning. On the Indomitable, alarms screamed. The view screen turned white as the alien weapons struck the shields. The ship shuddered violently. Sparks flew from consoles. The lights flickered, shields holding at 87%. Bora's voice came over the intercom from the engine room. "But we can't take many more hits like that." Captain Deho gripped his chair. "Lieutenant Hayun, fire." Hayun's fingers slammed down on the firing controls. "Firing!" The Indomitable's weapons came alive, but these were not energy weapons like the aliens expected. These were rail cannons, massive electromagnetic launchers that fired solid metal slugs at incredible speeds. 3 tungsten carbide projectiles, each weighing several tons, shot out from the Indomitable's gun ports. The slugs moved so fast they were almost invisible. They crossed the distance to the alien fleet in just over 2 seconds. On the Mervani flagship, Krennic saw the incoming projectiles on his sensors. "Commander." "Incoming fire!" Veltar barely glanced at the display. "Our shields will stop them. All ships maintain." He never finished the sentence. The first slug hit a Mervani cruiser on the left side of their formation. The ship's energy shield tried to stop the projectile, but shields were designed to block energy weapons, not solid matter moving at such extreme speed. The slug punched straight through the shield like it wasn't there. It drilled through the cruiser's armor, through the interior compartments, through the crew and equipment, and out the other side. The cruiser began to spin, bleeding air and debris into space. The second and third slugs hit 2 more cruisers with the same result. In less than 3 seconds, 3 Mervani warships were destroyed or crippled. Veltar stared at his view screen in shock. His mouth hung open. Around him, his bridge crew sat frozen in disbelief. That was impossible. How could primitive kinetic weapons penetrate their advanced shields? How could one ship destroy 3 of theirs in a single attack? Krennic found his voice first. "Commander, those weapons, they're not energy-based. They're solid projectiles. Our shields can't stop them." Veltar's shock turned to rage. "All ships, spread out! Concentrate fire on that human vessel. Destroy it now!" The Mervani fleet began to adjust their formation, moving to make themselves harder targets. But on the Indomitable, Lieutenant Hayun was already loading the next round of ammunition. Captain Deho stood at the center of the bridge, his face grim. "All crew, brace for impact," he announced. "This is going to be a long fight." The battle for humanity's survival had truly begun, and the aliens were starting to realize they had made a terrible mistake. The Mervani fleet scattered across space like frightened birds. Their tight formation broke apart as commanders realized their shields were useless against the human weapons. On 12 remaining ships, crews rushed to battle stations and tried to understand what had just happened. On the Mervani flagship, Veltar gripped his command chair so hard his claws dug into the metal. His face was twisted with rage and confusion. 3 ships destroyed in seconds. It was impossible. It was humiliating. "Science officer," Veltar shouted. "Explain how their weapons penetrated our shields." The Mervani science officer trembled as he reviewed his data. "Commander, the humans used kinetic projectiles. Solid matter accelerated to extreme velocity. Our shields are designed to dissipate energy weapons. They cannot stop physical objects moving at such speed." Krennic leaned forward from his tactical station. "Commander, I recommend we withdraw. We've lost 3 ships. The humans clearly have technology we didn't anticipate. Withdraw?" Veltar turned on him, eyes blazing. "We still have 12 ships. They have one. I will not run from a single enemy vessel." He pointed at the view screen. "All ships maintain distance and concentrate fire. We may not be able to block their weapons, but they cannot block ours either. Destroy them!" The 12 remaining Mervani ships opened fire again. Streams of plasma and graviton beams crossed space toward the Indomitable. The human ship's shields flared white as they absorbed the energy. Inside the ship, the crew felt the deck shake beneath their feet. In the engine room, Bora watched her displays with growing concern. "Shields down to 72%, she reported over the intercom. "Captain, these sustained hits are draining our power. At this rate, we've got maybe 5 more minutes before the shields fail." On the bridge, Captain Deho nodded grimly. He had expected this. Shields were good for defense, but they wouldn't win the fight. "Lieutenant Haun, target the 3 nearest ships." "Fire rail cannons." "Yes, sir." Haun locked her targeting computer onto 3 Mervani cruisers. The rail cannons charged with a deep humming sound that vibrated through the ship's hull. "Firing!" 3 more tungsten slugs launched from the Indomitable. The electromagnetic rails glowed red-hot from the energy discharge. The slugs crossed space in 2.3 seconds. This time the Mervani ships tried to evade. 2 managed to move just enough that the slugs missed. But the 3rd ship was too slow. The slug hit it in the engine section. The impact was catastrophic. The ship's reactor lost containment and exploded in a ball of blue-white fire. Debris scattered in all directions. 11 Mervani ships remained. The odds were better, but still heavily against the humans. "They're learning," Haun muttered. "They're staying mobile now. Harder to hit." Captain Deho stood and walked to her station. "Then we adapt. Switch to secondary weapons. Launch missile pods!" Haun's eyes widened. "Sir, the nuclear swarm protocol?" "Yes, let's see how good their point defense systems are." Haun's fingers danced across her console. Along the Indomitable's hull, dozens of panels slid open, revealing missile launchers. Missiles armed and ready. 300 units loaded. Fire all. The Indomitable launched 300 small missiles in a single massive salvo. They weren't large missiles. Each one was only about 2 meters long. But each carried a shaped nuclear charge designed to penetrate ship armor, and there were so many of them that they filled space like a swarm of angry insects. On the Mervani flagship, alarms shrieked. "Incoming missiles! 300 contacts!" Krennic felt his blood run cold. 300 missiles. Even with all 11 ships working together, their point defense couldn't stop that many. "All ships, activate defense systems. Target the missiles." The Mervani fleet's automated defense guns came alive. Thousands of small plasma bolts shot out, targeting the incoming missiles. The space between the 2 forces lit up like a fireworks display. Missiles exploded by the dozens, then by the hundreds. The Mervani defenses were good, very good, but they couldn't get them all. 47 missiles survived the defensive fire. They struck the Mervani ships from multiple angles. Nuclear fire bloomed across space. The shaped charges burned through armor plating. 2 Mervani cruisers took direct hits to their reactor sections and exploded. A 3rd ship lost its main engines and began tumbling helplessly through space. A 4th was torn in half by multiple impacts. When the light faded, only 7 Mervani ships remained combat-capable. 7 out of the original 15. In less than 10 minutes, the human ship had cut their fleet in half. On the Indomitable's bridge, the crew watched their displays in stunned silence. They were winning. 1 ship against 15, and they were actually winning, but Captain Deho didn't celebrate. He knew the fight wasn't over. "Damage report." Bora's voice came through, strained but steady. "Shields at 41%. Hull integrity good. Main reactor functioning normally. We're still in the fight, Captain. Good work, Bora. Keep those shields up as long as you can. Taeyang called out from his sensor station. Captain, the enemy ships are regrouping. They're forming up around their flagship. On the Mervani flagship, Veltar stared at the tactical display. 8 ships lost. 8. His entire career, he had never lost more than 1 or 2 ships in any battle. This was a disaster, but he couldn't retreat. To retreat would mean admitting that the mighty Mervani Empire had been defeated by a single primitive vessel. The shame would destroy him. He made a decision. Prepare the Graviton Lance. Krenninix turned sharply. Commander, the Graviton Lance is experimental. We've only tested it once. I don't care. Veltar slammed his fist on his chair. We need to end this now. That weapon can destroy anything within 200 meters. Their ship is 800 meters long, but if we hit the center section, we'll break them in half. Krenninix wanted to argue, but he could see the desperation in Veltar's eyes. The commander would not back down. Yes, sir. Charging the Graviton Lance, it will take 12 seconds to reach full power. Deep in the Mervani flagship, a massive weapon came to life. The Graviton Lance was a prototype that used concentrated gravity waves to tear apart matter at the molecular level. It required enormous power, so much that the ship's lights dimmed as energy flowed into the weapon's charging coils. On the Indomitable, Taeyang's console lit up with warnings. Captain, massive energy buildup on the enemy flagship. It's like nothing I've seen before. Captain Deho studied the energy readings. His combat experience told him this was different from their normal weapons. This was something special, something dangerous. Analysis? Unknown weapon type, sir. But the power levels are off the scale. Whatever it is, we don't want to get hit by it. Deho's mind raced. They needed to stop that weapon before it fired. But how? The flagship was at the center of the enemy formation, protected by the other ships. The rail cannons couldn't guarantee a hit at this distance, not with the aliens moving evasively. Then he remembered something. The Indomitable had one more weapon. The biggest one. The weapon they never wanted to use because it was almost as dangerous to them as it was to the enemy. Lieutenant Haun, he said quietly. Activate the Hammer of Sol. Hayun's face went pale. Sir, the hammer? Are you sure? I'm sure. We need to take out that flagship before their superweapon fires. The hammer is our only chance. Hayun took a deep breath and nodded. Yes, sir. Activating Hammer of Sol. Charging sequence initiated. The Hammer of Sol was the Indomitable's most powerful weapon. It was a spinal-mounted mass accelerator that ran the entire length of the ship. It could fire a single massive slug at nearly half the speed of light. The recoil alone could damage the Indomitable, but the projectile could punch through a small moon. Throughout the ship, systems automatically began rerouting power. Life support dropped to minimum. Artificial gravity shut down, leaving the crew floating. The lights went dark except for emergency strips. Every joule of energy the reactor could produce was being fed into the hammer's charging coils. Bora held onto a pipe in the engine room, floating in zero gravity. Her console showed the massive power drain. Captain, we're at maximum diversion. But the hammer needs 15 seconds to charge fully. Can we last that long? On the bridge, Taeyang called out, Enemy weapon at 80% charge. 10 seconds until they can fire. Captain Deho did the math in his head. The aliens would fire in 10 seconds. The hammer needed 15. They would be too slow. Unless... Lieutenant Hayun, can we fire at partial charge? Hayun checked her calculations. We could fire at 90%. It would still have massive kinetic energy, but the accuracy might suffer. No, Deho said firmly. We fire at full charge. One shot, it has to count. If we miss, we're dead anyway. The seconds ticked by. On both ships, crews held their breath as the deadly weapons charged. 2 super weapons. 2 fleets. One would fire first. Enemy weapon at 95%. Taeyang's voice was tight with fear. Hammer at 90%, Hayun reported. On the Mervani flagship, Krenninix watched his display. Graviton Lance at 100%. Ready to fire! Veltar smiled coldly. Fire. The Graviton Lance fired. A beam of twisted space-time shot across the void toward the Indomitable. It was invisible to the naked eye, but sensors showed it coming like death itself. On the Indomitable's bridge, alarm screamed. Impact in 3 seconds! Hammer at 95%. Hayun shouted. Captain Deho closed his eyes. 2 seconds. The alien weapon would hit them in 2 seconds. then 1 second, then 100%, Hayun screamed. Firing now. The hammer of Saul fired. The entire ship lurched backward from the recoil. A slug of tungsten osmium alloy, 3 meters long and weighing 12 tons, shot down the length of the ship and launched into space. It accelerated to 0.4% of light speed in less than a second. At the exact same moment, the Graviton Lance's beam struck the Indomitable's forward section. Reality rippled. Molecular bonds failed. The forward third of the Indomitable, nearly 300 meters of ship, simply disintegrated. Metal, equipment, and 93 crew members ceased to exist. The ship's forward sections were gone, leaving a ragged, glowing edge where they had been torn away. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut across the damaged sections. The Indomitable was wounded, badly wounded, but the bridge located in the center of the ship survived. The engines in the rear section still functioned. Captain Deho pulled himself up from where the recoil had thrown him. Around the bridge, crew members were doing the same. Status, he shouted. Bora's voice came through, shaken but alive. Forward sections destroyed. 93 crew members lost. Main reactor intact. We're still here, Captain. And the enemy flagship? Taeyang looked at his display and his eyes went wide. Captain, look at the screen. Captain Deho looked at the view screen. Where the Mervani flagship had been, there was now only a cloud of expanding debris. The hammer's slug had hit the flagship dead center. At that speed, the impact had released energy equivalent to a nuclear weapon. The ship hadn't just been destroyed. It had been obliterated. The Indomitable and the Mervani flagship had fired at almost the same instant. Both superweapons had struck their targets. But only one ship survived. 6 Mervani ships remained. Their commander was dead. Their flagship was gone, and the human ship, despite being torn in half, was still fighting. Lieutenant Hayun checked her weapons. Captain, rear rail cannons still operational. We can still fight. Captain Deho stared at the surviving alien ships. They were scattered, disorganized, leaderless. He could destroy them. But at what cost? 93 of his crew were already dead. How many more would die if this continued? Then his console beeped. Incoming transmission. He pressed the button. A different alien voice came through. Younger, frightened. The computer translated, Human vessel. This is Tactical Officer Krennics, now commanding the Mervani fleet. We request ceasefire, please, no more death. We withdraw. We leave your space, please, the alien was begging. Begging for mercy. Captain Deho looked at his crew. They looked back at him, waiting for his decision. The power to end this fight one way or another was in his hands. The bridge of the Indomitable was silent except for the hum of emergency systems and the quiet beeping of damaged consoles. Captain Deho stared at the communication panel, his finger hovering over the button. The alien officer Krennics had asked for mercy. The 6 remaining Mervani ships waited in space, weapons powered down, for his answer. Lieutenant Haun broke the silence. Captain, we have them. They're defenseless. We should finish this while we can. They started this fight. They killed 93 of our people. Her voice was hard, angry. Captain Deho understood. He felt the same anger, the same need for revenge. But he also felt something else, the weight of responsibility. What he decided now would affect more than just this battle. He pressed the button. Krennics, this is Captain Deho Kim of the United Nations Space Command vessel Indomitable. You attacked us without warning. You demanded our surrender. You killed 93 of my crew members. By all rights, I should destroy every single one of your remaining ships. On one of the Mervani cruisers, Krennics listened to the translation. He bowed his head. This was it. The humans would destroy them. It was what any Mervani commander would do. In their culture, showing mercy to an enemy was a sign of weakness. He prepared himself for death, but Captain Deho continued speaking. However, humanity did not come to the stars to become butchers. We defend ourselves when attacked, but we do not kill for revenge. You have 1 hour to collect survivors from your damaged ships and leave this sector. If any Mervani vessel ever returns to this region, we will consider it an act of war. Do you understand? Krennics' head snapped up. The human was letting them go? After everything? It made no sense. In all his years of military service, he had never heard of such a thing. I understand, Captain, but why? You have defeated us. Why show mercy? Deho looked around his damaged bridge at his tired crew, at the display showing the torn front section of his ship. Because mercy is not weakness. It is strength. You will return to your people and tell them what happened here. Tell them that humans could have destroyed you but chose not to. Tell them we are not interested in conquest or domination, but also tell them that if they attack us again, we will defend ourselves. With everything we have. There was a long pause. Then Krennic spoke again, his voice different now, respectful. I will tell them, Captain. I swear it. Thank you. Thank you for our lives. The transmission ended. Captain Deho slumped in his chair. The adrenaline that had kept him sharp during the battle was fading, leaving him exhausted. Around the bridge, his crew slowly relaxed. Ha-Un turned from her console. Captain, with respect, I hope you're right about this. We've given them intelligence about our weapons and capabilities. If they come back with a larger fleet, then we'll fight again, Deho said quietly. But I don't think they will. We didn't just show them our weapons today. We showed them who we are. That matters more than you might think. Over the next hour, the crew of the Indomitable watched as the Mervani ships moved carefully through the debris field. They launched rescue shuttles to recover survivors from the destroyed vessels. It was a grim task. Of the original 15 ships, 9 were destroyed or unsalvageable. Thousands of Mervani had died in the battle. Taeyang monitored their movements carefully. Captain, they're keeping their word. No aggressive actions. They're just recovering their people. Good. Keep tracking them. If anything changes, let me know immediately. While the aliens worked, Captain Deho left the bridge. He needed to see the damage for himself. He needed to pay his respects to the fallen. He walked through the corridors toward the damaged section. Emergency lights cast everything in a red glow. The ship felt wrong, lighter, unbalanced, like a person missing a limb. He reached the emergency bulkhead that sealed off the destroyed forward section. Through a small window in the bulkhead, he could see where the ship ended. Just empty space beyond. No more corridors, no more rooms. Just a ragged edge of torn metal and melted systems. 300 meters of ship simply gone. Bora appeared beside him, floating in the zero gravity. The artificial gravity systems were still offline in this section. 93 confirmed dead, she said softly. Ensign Yejin Shin, Petty Officer Su Wanan, Chief Mechanic Hyun Sujang. All good people. All gone in an instant. Captain Deho pressed his hand against the cold bulkhead. They died defending humanity. We'll make sure Earth remembers them. Do you think we made the right choice? Letting the aliens go? Deho was quiet for a moment. I don't know. Maybe future commanders will study this battle and say I should have destroyed them all. Maybe they'll say I was too soft. But I looked at those alien ships and I thought about what we would become if we showed no mercy. Would we be any better than them? Bora nodded slowly. I understand, Captain. For what it's worth, I think you made the human choice. Not the easy choice, but the right one. They stood together in silence, looking at the place where their shipmates had died. After a while, they returned to their duties. There was much work to do. The ship was badly damaged and they were still far from human space. On the bridge, Taeyang announced that the Mervani ships had finished their rescue operations. Captain, they're preparing to leave. Krennic's is requesting one final communication. Put him through. Krennic's voice came through the speakers. Captain Deho, we are departing now. I want you to know that I will report everything that happened here to our High Council. I will tell them about your military capabilities. But I will also tell them about your mercy. Perhaps our two species can find a better path forward than war. I hope so, Krennic's. I truly hope so. One more thing, Captain. You said mercy is strength. We Mervani have never believed this. But today you proved it. You defeated us completely, yet gave us our lives. That is a debt we cannot easily forget. Perhaps our people will meet again someday, not as enemies, but as something else. I would like that. Safe travels, Krennic's. Safe travels, Captain. The 6 Mervani ships activated their faster-than-light drives. In flashes of blue light, they vanished, jumping away into deep space. The battlefield was suddenly quiet. Only the Indomitable remained, floating among the debris of 9 destroyed alien warships. Lieutenant Ha-Un let out a long breath. They're gone. We survived. Barely, Taeyang added. If that superweapon had hit us in the center of the ship instead of the forward section, but it didn't, Captain Deho said. We're alive. Now we need to get home and report what happened. Bora, can we make it back to Earth? Bora's voice came through the intercom. The faster-than-light drive is intact. It will take us about 4 months instead of the usual 3, because we're slower now with all the damage. But yes, we can make it home, Captain. Then set course for Earth, best possible speed. The Indomitable turned slowly, its engines firing. The damaged ship began its long journey home, leaving the battlefield behind. But the impact of what had happened here would echo across the galaxy. Several weeks later on the Mervani homeworld, Krennic stood before the High Council. The Grand Chamber was filled with the Empire's most powerful leaders. They sat in a semicircle looking down at him from elevated seats. The air was tense. So, High Counselor Drevnak said coldly, "You return with only 6 ships out of 15. You report the loss of thousands of our warriors, and you tell us that you fled from a single enemy vessel." Krennic kept his head high. "We did not flee, Counselor. We were defeated. Completely. The humans have weapons that bypass our shields. Their ship continued fighting even after losing a third of its mass. And when they had us at their mercy, they let us go." Murmurs ran through the council chamber. Another counselor leaned forward. "They let you go? Why would they do such a thing?" The human captain said it was because mercy is strength, not weakness. He wanted us to return and tell you that humans are not interested in conquest, but he also made it very clear that they will defend themselves if attacked. High Counselor Drevnak stood. "This is unacceptable. The Mervani Empire does not accept defeat from inferior species. We should send a larger fleet, destroy these humans before they become a threat." But another voice spoke up. Archon Sevrath, the oldest member of the council, raised one withered hand. "Wait, let us consider what we have learned. These humans defeated 15 of our best warships with a single vessel. They possess advanced kinetic weapons and nuclear saturation tactics, and most importantly, they demonstrated restraint when they could have destroyed us." "Restraint is weakness," Drevnak argued. "Is it?" Sevrath stood slowly. "Or is it a sign that they are more dangerous than we thought? A mindless predator kills everything, but an intelligent species that can defeat you and then chooses mercy? That is something to fear. Because it means they are unpredictable. They do not follow the rules we understand." The council chamber fell silent as they considered his words. Finally, Sevrath continued. "I propose we do not attack human space. Instead, we study them, learn from them, perhaps even negotiate with them." Negotiate? With species we should be conquering? Drevnak sounded outraged. "The humans taught us something today," Sevrath said. "They taught us that there are different kinds of strength. I vote we take time to understand them before making any decision about war." The council voted. The decision was close, but Sevrath's position won. The Mervani Empire would not attack human space, not yet. Instead, they would observe, study, and try to understand these strange new aliens who fought like demons, but showed mercy like saints. As the council session ended, Sevrath approached Krennic privately. "Tell me, officer, do you believe the humans truly want peace?" Krennic thought carefully before answering. "I believe they want to be left alone, but I also believe they are ready for war if necessary." Captain Deho was not weak. He was controlled, disciplined. He made a choice based on principles, not fear. Sevrath nodded thoughtfully. "Interesting. Very interesting. I think we should learn more about human principles. They might teach us something valuable." 4 months after the battle, the Indomitable finally reached Earth's solar system. The ship looked like it had been through hell. The entire forward section was still missing, giving it a broken, unfinished appearance. But it was home. As they approached Earth, dozens of ships came out to meet them. News of the battle had traveled ahead through automated messages. The crew of the Indomitable were heroes. They had won humanity's first battle with hostile aliens. But Captain Deho didn't feel like a hero. He felt tired, sad, and worried about what the future would bring. He stood on the bridge looking at the blue marble of Earth growing larger on the view screen. "Captain," Ha'un said softly, "Earth Command wants to know when you'll be ready to give your report. Tell them I'll report as soon as we dock. There's much to discuss. We're not alone in the universe. And not all our neighbors are friendly. Humanity needs to prepare. Do you think the Mervani will come back?" Captain Deho was quiet for a moment. "I don't know, but I hope I gave them a reason to think twice. And maybe, just maybe, I gave them a reason to talk instead of fight." The Indomitable entered Earth's orbit. Below, billions of humans went about their lives unaware of how close they had come to an interstellar war. The crew had bought them time to prepare, Time to build more ships. Time to decide what kind of species humanity would be among the stars. Captain Daeho Kim had made his choice in that battle. He had chosen strength with mercy, violence with restraint. Now humanity would have to decide if they agreed with him. The first battle was over, but the story of humanity among the stars was just beginning. 6 months had passed since the battle. The damaged Indomitable sat in Earth's largest orbital shipyard, being rebuilt from the inside out. The work was slow and careful. Engineers studied every system, learning from the damage, making improvements. The ship would be stronger when they finished. Captain Daeho Kim walked through the new forward section. The walls still smelled of fresh paint and new metal. Everything was clean and perfect, not yet marked by the lives of the crew who would work here. He missed the old section, worn and comfortable, but that section was gone, along with 93 good people. He stopped at a wall where a memorial plaque had been installed. 93 names were carved into the metal, along with their ranks and positions. At the top, simple words. They stood between Earth and the dark. "We will remember, Captain." A voice interrupted his thoughts. He turned to see Lieutenant Commander Hyun Park. She had been promoted after the battle. She wore her new rank insignia with quiet pride. "Commander Park, what news?" "Earth Command has received a message. It's from the Mervani. They want to talk." Captain Daeho felt his heart beat faster. "When?" "They're proposing a meeting in neutral space. 1 month from now. They specifically requested that you be present." "Me? Why me?" Hyun smiled slightly. The message said, "We wish to speak with the captain who showed us mercy, the one who taught us that strength comes in many forms." It's signed by someone named Krennix. Captain Daeho nodded slowly. So the young tactical officer had survived and risen in rank. Good. "Tell Earth Command I accept. The Indomitable will be ready." "Captain, are you sure?" "The ship isn't fully repaired yet, and we don't know if this is a genuine peace offer or a trick. If it's a trick, we'll deal with it. But if it's real, if they genuinely want peace, then we have to try. That's what we fought for, isn't it? A chance for something better than endless war." 1 month later, the Indomitable entered the neutral zone, a region of space between human and Mervani territory that neither side claimed. The ship was not fully repaired, but it was combat ready. If this meeting turned into a fight, they would be prepared. On the bridge, Tae-Yang Lee monitored his sensors carefully. "Captain, I'm detecting a single Mervani vessel approaching. Medium-sized, looks like a diplomatic ship. No weapons detected. They came unarmed," Hyun said quietly. "That's a good sign." "Or a trick to make us lower our guard," Bo-Ra added from her engineering station. "Keep all systems ready. Just in case," Captain Daeho stood. "The Mervani are taking a risk by coming here. We should respect that. But Commander Choi is right, stay alert. If this goes wrong, I want to be able to respond immediately." The Mervani diplomatic ship stopped a safe distance away. A small shuttle detached from it and began moving toward the Indomitable. Captain Daeho went down to the hangar to meet their guests personally. The shuttle landed gently in the hangar. The door opened with a hiss of equalizing air. 3 Mervani stepped out. They were tall, covered in gray scales with large eyes and long fingers. They wore simple robes rather than military uniforms. The lead Mervani stepped forward and bowed in a gesture that seemed respectful. "Captain Daeho Kim, I am Krennix. We met before, though not in person. I was the tactical officer who requested mercy for my fleet." Captain Daeho returned the bow. "I remember. Welcome aboard the Indomitable, Ambassador Krennix." "Ambassador?" Krennix repeated the word slowly. "Yes, that is my title now. After the battle, our High Council decided that someone who understood humans should lead our diplomatic efforts. They chose me. I'm honored. Please follow me to the conference room." They walked through the ship's corridors. The Mervani looked around with obvious interest, studying the human technology. Krennic stopped at the memorial plaque with the 93 names. "These are the crew members who died in our battle?" he asked quietly. "Yes. They gave their lives defending this ship." Krennic bowed his head toward the plaque. "We lost over 3,000 in that battle. I have memorized all their names. It is my burden to carry as the one who survived." Captain Daeho looked at the alien with new respect. "We both carry burdens from that day. Perhaps that is why we can talk now, when others cannot." In the conference room, they sat across from each other at a long table. Hayun and Bora joined Captain Deho on the human side. 2 other Mervani sat with Krennix. Krennix began. Captain, I come with an offer from the Mervani High Council. They have debated for months about what to do regarding humanity. Some wanted revenge. Some wanted to pretend you do not exist. But wiser voices prevailed. We wish to propose a treaty. What kind of treaty? Captain Deho asked. A non-aggression pact first. Neither of our peoples will enter the other's territory without permission. We will establish neutral zones for trade and cultural exchange. We will share scientific knowledge on topics both agree to, and most importantly, we will communicate before any misunderstandings lead to more violence. Hayun leaned forward. This is a big change from 6 months ago when you demanded our surrender. Krennix nodded. Yes, that battle taught us many things. You defeated us with superior tactics and weapons we did not expect. But what affected us more was your mercy. In Mervani culture, we always believe that showing mercy is weakness, that the strong must crush the defeated to prevent future challenges. But you showed us another way. How did your people react to that? Bora asked. At first many were angry. They felt humiliated that we were defeated and then shown mercy by what they called a primitive species. But Archon Sevrath, one of our wisest leaders, made them understand. He said that any species that can defeat us and then choose restraint is more dangerous than one that simply destroys everything, because it means you think strategically, you plan for the future, you consider consequences. Captain Deho smiled. Your Archon is wise. That is exactly why I let you go. If I had destroyed your fleet completely, your people would have only learned that humans are violent. They would have prepared for a war of extermination. But by showing mercy, I hope to show that humans can be reasoned with. It worked, Krennix said simply. Here I am offering peace instead of war. So, Captain, will you recommend this treaty to your leaders? Captain Deho looked at Haun and Bora. They both nodded. He turned back to Krennix. I will, but I have one question. What happens if another conflict arises? What if one of our ships encounters one of yours in disputed space? The treaty includes protocols for such situations. Communication first. Diplomatic channels. No weapons fire unless absolutely necessary for defense. We have learned that talking is better than shooting. Then I will support this treaty. Humanity came to the stars to explore and learn, not to conquer. If the Mervani are willing to be neighbors instead of enemies, we will welcome it. Krennix stood and extended his hand in the human gesture of greeting he had learned. Captain Deho took it. They shook hands, human and alien, former enemies now working toward peace. There is one more thing, Krennix said. A warning, perhaps. The Mervani Empire is not the only power in this region of space. There are others. Some are peaceful, some are not. Your battle with us has been noticed by these other species. Humanity's name is known now. That brings both opportunities and dangers. Captain Deho nodded seriously. Thank you for the warning. We suspected as much. Earth is already building more ships, establishing better defenses. We won't be caught unprepared again. Good, because some of the other powers, they are not like us. We Mervani can learn, we can change. But there are species that see all other life as either prey or competition. Be ready for them. The meeting continued for several hours. They discussed details of the treaty, trade possibilities, cultural exchanges. By the end, both sides were cautiously optimistic. This was not friendship, not yet. But it was a start. As the Mervani prepared to leave, Krennix paused at the hangar door. Captain Deho, may I ask you something personal? Of course. Do you ever regret your decision? To let us live? We could use what we learned to become stronger. We could return someday as enemies. Captain Deho thought carefully before answering. Every day I think about the 93 crew members who died. I wonder if destroying your fleet would have prevented future conflicts, would have made humanity safer. But then I think about this moment right now. You standing here as an ambassador instead of an enemy. And I realize that killing in war is easy. Building peace is hard. I chose the hard path. I don't regret it. Krennix bowed deeply. Then I will make sure your choice was the right one. I will work every day to prove that mercy was not wasted on us. Thank you, Captain, for our lives, and for showing us a better way. The Mervani shuttle departed. Captain Deho stood in the hangar, watching it return to the diplomatic ship. Hayun and Bora stood beside him. Do you think it will work? Hayun asked. Can we really trust them? I don't know, Captain Deho admitted. But we have to try. The alternative is endless war, and that helps no one. They warned us about other species, Bora said. More dangerous ones. That's concerning. Yes, but at least now we have one less enemy. And maybe eventually an ally. That's worth something. They returned to the bridge. Taeyang reported that the Murvani ship was jumping away, back to their space. The meeting was over. The first step toward peace had been taken. Set course for Earth, Captain Deho ordered. Best speed. We have much to report. As the Indomitable turned toward home, Captain Deho sat in his command chair and thought about the future. 6 months ago, he had faced an impossible choice. Fight or run. Kill or show mercy. He had chosen mercy and it had worked, but he knew that not every situation would end so well. Not every enemy would be like Krennics, willing to learn and change. The galaxy was bigger than humanity had imagined. More dangerous, more complex, and now they were part of it whether they wanted to be or not. The battle 6 months ago had been their introduction to galactic politics. But it was only the beginning. Captain, Hayun said, breaking his thoughts, Earth Command wants a preliminary report. Tell them the mission was successful. The Murvani are offering peace. But also tell them we need to prepare. This galaxy is more crowded than we thought, and not everyone will be friendly. Yes, sir. Captain Deho looked at the stars streaming past the view screen as the ship moved at faster than light speed. Somewhere out there were species that would not respond to mercy, species that saw only strength or weakness, predator or prey. Humanity would have to be ready for them. But for now, they had achieved something remarkable. They had turned an enemy into a potential friend. They had shown that humanity could fight when necessary, but preferred peace when possible. That was the message they wanted to send to the galaxy. And if the galaxy didn't want to listen to that message, well, the Indomitable and ships like it would be ready, because humanity had learned an important lesson from that first battle. The universe respected strength, but it remembered mercy. And the combination of both made humans unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. That was humanity's gift to the stars. The ability to be fierce when threatened, but kind when possible. The galaxy would learn that in time. Some would learn it peacefully, through diplomacy and trade. Others would learn it the hard way like the Murvani had. Either way, humanity was here to stay. The age of humanity among the stars had truly begun. 2 years after the battle, the galaxy was a different place. The story of the Indomitable had spread far and wide. In human space, the battle was taught in military academies as a perfect example of tactical flexibility and strategic restraint. Children learned about Captain Deho Kim, the man who chose mercy over vengeance and turned an enemy into an ally. In Murvani space, the same battle had become a cultural turning point. For centuries, the Murvani had believed that strength came only through domination, but the humans had shown them something different. Now, young Murvani studied human philosophy alongside their military training. The concept of mercy as strength had transformed their society in ways no one had predicted. The treaty between the two species had held. Trade flourished in the neutral zones. Human scientists worked alongside Murvani researchers on projects that benefited both civilizations. Cultural exchanges brought understanding where there had once been only suspicion. But the galaxy was watching, and not everyone liked what they saw. The Indomitable, now fully repaired and upgraded with both human and Murvani technology, patrolled the border regions. Captain Deho Kim still commanded her, though he had been offered promotions to Earth's naval headquarters several times. He always refused. This ship was his home. These crew members were his family. Lieutenant Commander Hayun Park had become his first officer. Engineer Bora Choi now held the rank of Chief Engineering Officer for the entire ship. And Sensor Officer Taeyang Lee had developed expertise in alien technology that made him invaluable. On this particular day, they were conducting a routine patrol near a newly established trading post when Taeyang's console lit up with alerts. Captain, I'm detecting multiple ships approaching the trading post. Unknown configuration. They're not human or Murvani. Captain Deho sat up straighter. How many? 20 ships. They're moving fast and their weapons are hot. Captain, they're heading straight for the trading post. The trading post housed 300 humans and 200 Murvani civilians. Merchants, families, scientists. They had no military defenses. If these unknown ships attacked, hundreds would die. Battle stations, Captain Deho ordered calmly. Get me a communication channel to those ships. As the Indomitable's crew rushed to their positions, Taeyang established contact. An alien face appeared on the view screen. The creature had dark blue skin, 4 eyes, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. It smiled unpleasantly. "I am War Master Thulkar of the Kreth Dominion," the alien said. "You are the humans we have heard about, the ones who defeated the Mervani. Impressive. But now you will learn what real power looks like. Surrender the trading post or we will destroy it. You have 5 minutes." The transmission ended abruptly. Captain Deho looked at his crew. "Status: 20 ships against 1, Haun reported. Similar odds to the Mervani battle. But Captain, these ships look more advanced. Heavier armor, bigger weapons. Can we evacuate the trading post? Not in 5 minutes. We'd need at least an hour to get everyone to safety." Captain Deho made his decision. "Then we fight. Position us between the Kreth fleet and the trading post. Open a channel." When the channel opened, War Master Thulkar looked surprised to see the human ship moving to intercept. "You dare challenge us? 1 ship? This is Captain Deho Kim of the United Nations Space Command vessel Indomitable. The trading post is under our protection. If you attack it, you attack us. Turn back now and we can resolve this peacefully." Thulkar laughed, a harsh barking sound. "We have heard the stories. How you defeated the Mervani, how you showed them mercy. The Mervani were weak and you were lucky. We are neither. You have 3 minutes to move aside or we will destroy you and take the trading post anyway." Captain Deho's voice remained calm. "Then you have chosen poorly. The Mervani learned an important lesson 2 years ago. Perhaps you need to learn it too." He cut the transmission and turned to his crew. "The Kreth made a mistake. They studied the Mervani battle and drew the wrong conclusion. They think we won through luck and that our mercy made us weak. Time to teach them otherwise. Commander Park, you may fire when ready." Haun's fingers moved across her weapons console. 2 years of upgrades had made the Indomitable even more lethal. Rail cannons, missile systems, and now energy weapons reverse-engineered from Mervani technology. Targeting solutions locked, firing. The Indomitable struck first. Rail cannon slugs crossed space at incredible speed, followed by a swarm of missiles, followed by lance beams of concentrated energy. The attack was coordinated, overwhelming, precise. 3 Kreth ships exploded before they could react. 2 more were crippled, spinning helplessly through space. The rest scattered, trying to evade. On the Kreth flagship, War Master Thulkar stared in shock at his displays. 5 ships gone in the first attack. How? He had studied the Mervani battle records. He knew what the human ship could do. But this was different. The humans had improved their weapons, and they had learned new tactics. "All ships, return fire. Destroy that vessel," he screamed. The 15 remaining Kreth ships opened fire. Their weapons were indeed powerful. Plasma cannons and kinetic impactors. The Indomitable's shields, now hybrid human Mervani technology, absorbed most of the damage. But some got through. The ship shuddered. "Shields at 78%, Bora reported. Much better than last time. These new shields are holding up well." "Good," Captain Deho said. "Continue firing. Target their flagship." The battle raged for 15 minutes. The Kreth fought well. They were experienced warriors who had conquered many worlds. But they had made a fatal error in judgment. They had assumed that humanity's strength came from one lucky battle. They didn't understand that humans learned from every fight, adapted to every challenge, and improved constantly. When the smoke cleared, 12 Kreth ships were destroyed or disabled. Only 8 remained and they were damaged. The Indomitable had taken hits, but its shield still held at 39%. The ship was still fully operational. Captain Deho opened a channel to the Kreth flagship. War Master Thulkar looked different now. His arrogance was gone, replaced by fear and confusion. "War Master," Captain Deho said calmly, "you came here expecting an easy victory over a species you thought was weak. You were wrong. Now you have a choice. You can continue fighting and lose the rest of your fleet, or you can withdraw and report back to your dominion that humanity is not prey." Thulkar's 4 eyes glared at the screen. "You offer us mercy? Like you did the Mervani? I offer you survival. What you do with it is up to you. The Mervani chose to learn and grow. They became our partners. You can make the same choice. Or you can remain our enemy. But if you remain our enemy, know this: Earth will not forget. The Kreth Dominion attacked a peaceful trading post. If you leave now, we will call it a misunderstanding. If you stay, it becomes an act of war." Thulkar was silent for a long moment. Then he bowed his head slightly. "We withdraw. But this is not over, human. The Kreth Dominion does not forget defeats, neither do we. Captain Deho replied. But we prefer neighbors to enemies. The choice is always yours. The Kreth fleet jumped away, leaving the battlefield behind. The trading post was safe. Captain Deho sat back in his chair, feeling the familiar exhaustion that followed battle. Captain, Taeyang said, I'm receiving a transmission from the trading post. They're thanking us, and there's another signal coming in from Mervani space. Put it through. Ambassador Krenninix appeared on the screen. He looked concerned. Captain Deho, we detected the battle. Are you all right? We're fine, Ambassador. The Kreth attacked the trading post. We defended it, Krenninix nodded slowly. The Kreth are dangerous. They will not forget this. They may return with more ships, I know. But we had to protect the civilians. Both human and Mervani. That's what allies do. Allies, Krenninix repeated the word thoughtfully. Yes. I will recommend to our High Council that we station Mervani ships in this region as well, to help protect our shared interests. If the Kreth return, they will face both our fleets. Captain Deho smiled. 2 years ago, we were enemies. Now we talk about defending each other. That's progress, Ambassador. Indeed. You taught us well, Captain. Mercy given can become friendship earned. After the transmission ended, Ha-Yun turned to Captain Deho. Sir, the Kreth might tell other species about this battle. Word will spread that we've defeated 2 different fleets now. Good, Captain Deho said. Let them tell everyone. Let the whole galaxy know that humans defend their friends, fight when necessary, and offer mercy when possible. That's the reputation I want Earth to have. Some will see it as weakness, Bo-Ra warned. And they will learn the same lesson the Mervani and Kreth learned. We are not weak. We are civilized. There's a difference. Years passed. The story of humanity spread further across the galaxy. Some species approached with friendship and trade. Others tested humanity's resolve and learned, like the Kreth and Mervani before them, that humans fought fiercely but fairly. The Indomitable became a legend. Songs were written about her battles. Her crew became heroes. And Captain Deho Kim became known throughout the galaxy as the man who showed that strength and mercy were not opposites, but partners. On Earth, in the Memorial Garden at United Nations Space Command headquarters, 93 names remained carved in black granite. But now, beside the memorial, stood another monument. This one showed the Indomitable and a Mervani ship flying side by side, with words beneath in multiple languages. First we fought. Then we understood. Now we stand together. The human-Mervani alliance grew stronger each year. Together, they faced challenges that neither could have handled alone. Other species joined their confederation, attracted by the principles of mutual respect and shared defense. Not everyone joined. Some species remained hostile. Some saw humanity's mercy as weakness and tried to exploit it. They all learned the same hard lesson. Humans would exhaust every peaceful option first, but once committed to battle, they fought with fierce determination. Captain Deho eventually retired from active service, though he remained as an advisor to Earth's Naval Command. Ambassador Krenninix became one of his closest friends. They often met to discuss galactic politics and share stories of their peoples. One day, sitting in a cafe on a space station halfway between Earth and the Mervani homeworld, Krenninix asked the question that had puzzled him for years. Captain, tell me honestly, when you let my fleet go that day, did you know it would lead to all this? The alliance, the peace, everything we've built together? Captain Deho, now gray-haired and retired, smiled. No, I hoped, but I didn't know. I only knew that killing you all would make me feel like I'd won a battle, but lost something more important. My humanity. Your humanity, Krenninix repeated. I understand now. That is what makes your species special. Not your weapons or your tactics. Your ability to remain humane even in war. That is true strength. We're not perfect, Deho admitted. We make mistakes. We have our own dark history, but we try to learn from it. We try to be better. That is all anyone can ask. Krenninix raised his glass in a toast. To the battle that changed everything. To the moment when regret followed quickly for those who attacked humans. And to the friendship that grew from the ashes of war. Deho raised his own glass. To understanding, to mercy. And to the future we're building together. They drank, 2 former enemies now friends, representatives of species that had learned to see beyond their differences and find common ground. Across the galaxy, humanity continued to expand, explore, and encounter new species. Some meetings were peaceful, some were not. But in every encounter, humans carried the lesson of the Indomitable's first battle. Strength without mercy is tyranny, but mercy without strength is vulnerability. The balance between the two, that was wisdom. And so humanity took its place among the stars, neither prey nor predator, but something the galaxy had rarely seen before. A species that could fight like demons when threatened, but preferred to build bridges rather than burn them. The alien fleets that encountered human battleships after that first battle learned quickly to regret their aggression. But they also learned that humans remembered mercy as well as conflict, forgiveness as well as victory. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy. That was why, decades after the battle, when historians looked back on this period, they called it the Great Awakening, the moment when the galaxy realized that might did not always make right, and that the strongest species might be the one wise enough to choose peace over war. It all started with one ship, one captain, and one decision to show mercy to a defeated enemy. From that single choice, a new future was born, a future where humans and aliens stood together, where differences were celebrated rather than feared, and where the vast darkness of space became a little less lonely. The Indomitable flew on, eventually decommissioned and turned into a museum ship orbiting Earth. Millions visited each year to walk her corridors and stand on the bridge where Captain Daeho Kim made the decision that changed everything. And in the memorial section, where 93 names remained forever carved, visitors left flowers and notes, because those crew members had not died in vain. They had died in humanity's first step toward becoming something greater than just another species, scrambling for survival in an uncaring universe. They had died in the battle that taught the galaxy a new truth. Humanity was here to stay, and they would face the stars on their own terms, with strength when necessary, with mercy when possible, and always with hope for something better than endless war. That was the legacy of the Indomitable. That was the lesson of the battle. And that was why, when alien fleets encountered human battleships, regret followed quickly. Not because humans were invincible, but because humans offered something better than simple victory or defeat. They offered the possibility of peace. And in a galaxy that had known war for millions of years, peace was the most powerful weapon of all.